Okay, there we go. Hi, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Sorry, I had a minor tech glitch there. Oh, let's start with our opening prayer and then off we go. Oh, great spirit, Father Sky, Mother Earth, the winds, the waters, my father, my mother, Atanaha, all that is. We thank you for our lives and we thank you for these good people. We thank you for all that we are and all that we are to become. We dedicate our time spent together and our relationships with one another to you. We ask that our suffering be ended and our pain be lifted to the love and to the peace that lay beyond. Aho, Amen, Namaste. Okay, so we've got a few questions going on here. I'm just going to dive right in and off we go. So Nancy saying, hi Sky, I have intuitive abilities and have worked with paying clients, but don't have a practice. I'm unsure how best to use my gifts to help others. Would love some advice on which direction to go. Okay, let me have a look. Angels, what message do you have for Nancy? Okay, so the immediate message that I'm getting is you are safe. There's a real, like it's an inner child wound, and the core issue is I'm not safe. I'm not safe to be myself. I'm not safe to do the things that I want to do. And then all of your energy goes into doing what other people think you should be doing. That this is an inner child wound of not being able to be you. Right? So they're showing me that you, like, from your divine guidance perspective, you are a spiritual teacher, you're a healer, you're a writer, but there's a part of you that is still kind of pretending to be normal, still holding you in that space from this, I'm not allowed to be myself, because if I'm myself, I'll be rejected by my family, I'll be rejected by the ones that I love, and it's blocking you from going full out. There's some sort of belief that was put in you that's like, if like my ideas are like crap, if I do my ideas, then they'll not work out. Like the reason my family stopped me from being myself is to protect me from failure. And then that's holding you in or pulling you in. So we're just going to send in the angels to help you with your inner child. Okay. Joanna is saying, please give me guidance on the right path. How can I attract clients and money, love and light? Okay, let me tune into Joanna. Okay, so immediately I've got the visibility angels here. So I've got Archangel Gabriel, Archangel Raphael, and they're showing, like, whenever Archangel Raphael shows up, I know that there's some physical cleaning that needs to happen. So you need to energetically clear your laptop. You need to clear the desk. You need to clear the workspace. You need to open all the windows. I don't know where you're working, but they're showing me this cupboard type space, and that's really not good for manifesting money and clients. People energetically, when they tune into you, they need to know there's space for them in your life, right? And when I started, I didn't have much space. So what I did was hire space. I hired a therapist room, even though a lot of my clients are online, just so I would have that container, right? But now I have a full-blown office. But you need a space that's dedicated to your clients, kind of like a client corner. And you need to energetically, like, clear your office, clear your laptop, clear your computer, so that you can have that space, and so that it can be a visible space inside your home. It's almost like your gifts, or you're keeping them invisible from everybody else. I think from your family, from your friends and things like that. And this is coming from like an invisible child wound, where you're like, you kind of had to hide your gifts and your abilities. And I think when I'm tuning into Archangel Gabriel's going, you need to be more visible, you need to be more visible. So like your office space is invisible, but you aren't visible. You're not showing up. So if people go on social media, they wouldn't know what you do. They wouldn't know who you are. They wouldn't know how you can help them. But it's also visible in your home. Like there's no space for you to do your work in your home. It's not a prominent thing. It's not a loved thing. There's no container for your divine life purpose. The attracting clients is actually something that comes so easily when you're just yourself. When you start showing up and teaching and talking and serving and sharing, on a consistent basis. I mean, I knew nothing about sales. I knew nothing about marketing. I knew nothing about business in the beginning. And just showing up and teaching once a week was enough to start a full blown practice that was full. Right. So start teaching, start showing up, start being yourself. And that's enough to start letting people know that you're open and available to do this deep spiritual work with them. But people aren't, a lot of your clients aren't that kind of psychic. They might be clairsentient and they might be deeply intuitive, but they don't know where you live. They don't know what your email address is. They don't know what you do from looking at your social media account. It's an ocean of information out there, right? So you need to be a little bit more visible. Things that used to happen when we went to Mind Body Spirit festivals or when we were going to these events kind of got smooshed off by COVID, and they're just starting to come back now. So just allowing yourself to create authentic ways to meet people. Love Sunshine saying, thank you for your explanation last week. I really appreciate it. You are welcome, darling. I love getting feedback from you guys. I love knowing how the healings go. So many of you send me DMs letting me know that the miracles that happened and how the angels helped you. And I love those. So keep them coming my way. I love, 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 love getting them. I love, love, love getting them. Okay. Gabriella saying, Dear Sky, can you please help with my blocks around attracting clients to my spiritual business? This is a theme today. What else do I need to heal? Many thanks, Gabriella. Let me tune in. Oh, okay. So they're immediately taking me to perfectionism. Um, and I've got Archangel Azrael here. There's a real energy of I have to be perfect to be loved, and not therefore not being able to show up as who you really are. So this is about looking at the inner child that that had to be the golden child or had to be perfect to be loved, and all the places where you abandoned yourself or changed yourself forever to be able to get the love that you needed to survive, right? To have your emotional needs met. There's a people can Perfectionism to us feels like we're trying really hard, and like we're doing our very best, and like almost like perfection feels like burnout. It's like you're giving everything and it's not enough, because that's what happened when we were kids, right? We gave everything and it wasn't enough. But the reality, for other people, our perfectionism feels like we are distant and like we are competing with them and like we are um lack vulnerability, and like we're pushing them away, right? Because when you say to somebody, hey, I'll connect with you when I'm perfect, you're never going to connect with them because you're never going to be perfect. So they're waiting and waiting and waiting for real friendship, real connection, real vulnerability. Yeah. So let's just send some unconditional love through Archangel Azrael. We're going to call them the perfectionism angels to help heal that and shift that. So perfectionism comes from having sometimes it comes from having parents that are very hard on you and you feel like you're not enough. And sometimes it comes from being separate from your parents and trying to get a sense of control. So I've got clients that, for example, were sent to boarding school very young, and the way that they dealt with being, the pain of being separated from their parents was by trying to be perfect. So no one at the school could tell how much pain they were in, and they created this fantasy, right, of what the ideal romantic partner would be like, or what the ideal them would be like. So that they would have hope and they would have something to look forward to, and they would have a way out of the suffering that they experienced. And then when real life doesn't match up to that fantasy, they have a really hard time with that, and they build an even bigger wall. And it's all about them, somebody discovering that they're not really perfect, right? So perfectionism is always about shame, right? It's always about shame, and being visible is always about shame. These are all ways, whether you're the golden child, the scapegoat child, the invisible child, all of these are ways that we masked shame as children, which is such a big feeling for a child, that we weren't able to release it from our bodies. So we're just going to call on the angels to help us release shame that we're feeling on an unconscious level. Shame that we're masking with perfectionism, golden child, rebel, scapegoat. There we go. Fixing, rescuing. Woo. Okay. Okay, Aisha's saying, hi, Sky. I would love a reading on releasing my weight. I gained a lot during lockdown and I still haven't lost it. What is the purpose of the weight? Why do I struggle to lose it? Archangel Raphael's coming in very strongly. The purpose of the weight is to keep you safe, is to protect you. And the purpose of the weight is to keep you safe and to protect you. And the reason it's not coming off is because you still don't feel safe. So the COVID epidemic was a shot across the bow. It was the government's testing their powers over the people to see, right? So if you think about a little child trying to figure out what its parents are really like, it doesn't ask them, it provokes them. So it's the same thing. This is kind of like a test. The collective consciousness was like provoking the individual consciousness to find out just how much of a pillar it is, just how much of protection is actually still there, and how much of it has been removed, how much the people still want autonomy and how much they don't. And it sent shockwaves through the generational trauma in the collective consciousness, because Europe has been a pillar of stability since the Second World War. And this whole thing really brought up the communism trauma and the Second World War trauma and the the slumbering giants that we've kind of been ignoring. We've been like going, oh, we don't have to worry about politics. It'll just take care of itself. We can leave spirituality out of it. And if you want to heal this, you have to go. I recommend start reading Marianne Williamson's Love as a Political Force. And you'll start seeing and being able to heal the generational trauma around First World War, Second World War, but also start taking responsibility for our larger community and for the world, and for healing those areas, instead of keeping love out of those areas, pouring love into those areas where they have been absent. Because that's what we tend to do. We're like, hey, I can't make a difference in this area. It's so hard to be loving in this space. And then spiritual people pull out. And then what happens, especially if it's an area where a lot of power can be collected, more fear pours in because less love is there, right? In the absence of love, there will be fear. As opposed to going, okay, there's not enough people, there's not enough love here, we need more love. We go, oh, there's not enough love here, I'm getting out, I can't survive. So with humans, particularly in politics, medicine, law, there's these finances, there's these areas that have become, because they're so hard for creativity and for love to exist, they've just become shut off. And then you can see they're kind of atrophying from fear. The decisions are being made from a fearful place. The people that rise in them come from a fearful place, because those are the people that thrive in that environment, right? So let's just take a moment. I'm going to call on Archangel Raziel, because he's one of the angels that helps with the collective consciousness, along with Archangel Metatron and the core principalities, the angels of the north, south, east, and west, to help you heal this. Sorry, my best friend's calling. She doesn't know I'm on the angel readings. Let me just take a moment to tell her. I just say, hey, I'm on the angel readings. I'll call you. She's not feeling too good. Bless her. So I do not want her to feel ignored. She knows she'll get significance from that because she knows how much I love her. And I will stop in front of 40 people to let her know she's loved. You know, I can all send her some unconditional love, and anyone else that's struggling with COVID or flus, let's all send them unconditional love as well. Okay, so yeah, so weight is never about weight. Whenever you're holding on to weight, it's because you don't feel safe, right? It's because you don't feel safe. Okay, blessings, Skylar. Thank you so much for sharing your light with us. May I please have a general reading? What is it that I need to hear the most at this time? Okay, let me tap in. You're taking me straight to your heart. I'm getting Archangel Shamuel and the Romance Angels. They're showing me like soulmate shadow work. There's like your spiritual ego is trying to make relationships a superficial thing, and actually relationships are the face of God. So if love is blocked in your personal, family, intimate relationships, then love to the divine is blocked. You can't connect to God and bypass your romantic and personal relationships and friendships. There's real work to be done here. And there's an energy of like, I already know, it's just there's something wrong with humanity. There 100% is something not right with humanity. It's called fear. That's why we're all here. But that's not what's going on for you. This is your unique curriculum. There's real worthiness issues that need to be addressed. Okay. And worthiness is actually at the root of disrespect, the root of so much cruelty, right? So whenever we see evil in humanity and refuse to see it in our own hearts, that's the reason humanity gets stuck. Projection is an interesting defense mechanism. So if you're seeing something, if you're very triggered by politics or veganism or spiritual people or soulmates or narcissism, I know you're going to hate me for this, but you have to go look inside you, right? It's not, I promise you, the evil is not outside. The hard part is recognizing that there is evil inside our own hearts and facing that. And until you are able to be with your shadow, you will not be able to fully embody your light or even recognize its full necessity. You're like a child that doesn't understand how dangerous you are. And most people walk around life like that. They walk, it's really funny, right? We're so conscious of how dangerous other people are, but we're so unconscious to um our own dangerousness. We want to be harmless, and we're not. We're really, really not. Everybody has a shadow. Everybody can hurt. Everybody can harm. And it's this lack of self-awareness that causes great pain and great harm. Okay. Hi, dear Sky. I have some really insane dreams recently, and I've been seeing animal signs like crazy. Any specific messages around what this is about? Thank you always. It's about not rejecting your fierceness. So whenever you start getting animals, I'm going to call Archangel Ariel because she's the angel in charge of the animal kingdoms and the animal guides and things like that. It is you being called to return to your true nature, right? And pay attention to the animals that you're getting because they're showing you the aspects of your nature that you are rejecting. I've always had very strong animal guides, and the one that came in when my son was born was a bear of all things because I needed to be fierce, I needed to be protective, and those were the angry parts of me were the parts of me that I had rejected in my maiden archetype, and the fierce parts of me were the only things that were going to guarantee that he was going to thrive in childhood. I was going to have to stand, I was going to have to fight, I was going to have to protect, and I didn't know how. And then that's how this bear energy came in, this animal that was proud of being a predator, that was proud of being fierce, that was proud of being the apex, that was proud of being an alpha female, and that was ancient, to really show me that this was an ancient ancestral force, and that this was a beautiful force, and that this was a natural thing as opposed to a manifestation of trauma, that it was a manifestation of divine nature to protect the children, to protect the next generation, to nurture that, right? So when I had my theta healing career awaken, that's when a peacock came through, and when I asked what the hell the peacock was about, I got that it's being able to see in all directions, the past, the parallel, the past, and the future, and not being afraid of being clairvoyant. And I had been piss terrified of being clairvoyant before I started on my theta healing journey. And it was the theta healing modality that allowed me to open up my clairvoyance to the level that it is right now. Right. So the animals that are coming through are saying that there are parts of your nature that you're blocking out, and that it's really important for you to allow those parts of your nature to come in, and they're what's going to bring you back to life. They're what's going to they're going to help you resurrect the parts of you that have died, and the parts of you that have changed forever. Okay, so let's just send unconditional love to all the parts of our nature that we've rejected, instead bringing in the healing, the love, the resources that we need. There we go. And the courage to face the parts of us that scare us the most. Okay, that's looking a lot better. Beata saying, hi, Sky. I would love a message from the angels. What is my highest and best good to hear? Okay, let me tune in. Okay, so immediately for you, I'm getting self-care. Archangel Raphael is going self-care, self-care, self-care. You have been so busy, you've not been taking care of yourself. So you need, and they're showing me like very girly self-care, things like bubble baths, things like a massage. There's isolation here. I'm not sure if you've been working very hard on a project from inside the home, but there's an energy of not getting out enough, not seeing people, not connecting with friends, and being really locked away. So they're showing like, you need physical touch. You need um you need that to be available. So let's just allow the angels to come in and create space for you to care for yourself. Okay, see the next one. Maria is saying, hi, Sky. I have intense night sweats. Can I have some clarity and healing, please? Uh, um, I'm seeing rhodelia, which is a herb. Obviously, I'm not allowed to give medical advice, but that's what Archangel Raphael is showing me. So you need to figure out if that plant would be good for you. But they're showing me high cortisol levels. They're showing me perimenopause. So I'm going to bring in Mother Mary and Mary Magdalene. Oh, there we go. Okay, that's looking a lot better. So when it comes to high cortisol, perimenopause stuff, it's about not having minerals, and minerals is about not having divine right order or structure in your life. So it's pulling you back into alignment. It's going, hey, you've wandered off your own path. You're not no longer in alignment with your own dreams and goals. So it's kind of like reining you back in. Whenever we get like hot flashes or sweats or things like that, it's because hormones are out of balance. Hormones are all about communication, right? And this is one I'm working on at the moment. So you're triggering me, but not the night sweats thing, but the hormones. So hormones are about communication, and a lot of women go silent where we most need to find our voices. And where we most need to find our voices is where things are not right in our intimate relationships, where things are not right in our friendships, where things are not right in um our relationship with ourselves. And those are the places where we're the most likely to go silent and avoid, because we avoid conflict. But then the situation ends up escalating anyway, right? Because we're avoiding conflict, but we're still resentful and we're still angry about things that are happening or people are doing. There we go. Okay, there we go. Gabriella saying, "Hi Sky, how can I help myself move forwards better and quicker and release fear/resistance to change? Thanks in advance." Do the hard things first. Do the hard things first. So I'm going to bring in Archangel Gabriel. Archangel Gabriel is super good at getting things done. Archangel Raphael as well. But what most people do is they do the hard things last. And then what happens is the hard things are normally the things that move the needle the most. So you might find the hardest thing to look at your finances and take control of them. You might find the hardest thing to be being visible on social media. You might find the hardest thing to be taking responsibility for, the clients or the parenting or the whatever area you find the hardest. Do it first, because it's the thing that will move the needle the most. And what's happening is you're trying to be gentle on yourself. Marianne Williamson once said to me when I was in one of her seminars that the reason you're so hard on yourself is because you're too easy on yourself. And it was a bit of a paradox, but those are the best bits of guidance in life. The reason so many spiritual people are so hard on themselves is because they know they're nowhere near to fulfilling their divine life purpose or being who they want to be, and they're not they don't have the discipline to follow their own heart, to follow their own soul. It's a practice to follow your own heart and your own soul. It's a decision you have to make over and over. It's not something you can just choose, one day. It's got to be chosen every day, multiple times a day, because the environment of fear in the world is so strong. So I'll give you an example from my own life. So you guys know I have a 2-year-old, and I'm learning really trying to master the gentle parenting thing over here. And I was not raised with gentle parents, right? So for me, it's a whole unlearning, a complete unlearning of what I believed that a child needs to be whole and successful and at peace with themselves, and what was required of me as a parent. And a relearning of something new. And many of those things, like for example, the lack of patience and things like that, I would feel that I was failing by having too much patience. If I let, I'm not a controlling parent. If anything, I'm the permissive kind of parent. But one of the things that my husband would say, was that I've told him 6 times that he's still not getting it. And, like that justified losing patience. And I didn't have the understanding that I wasn't being permissive. It was only through studying that I really understood that my husband had an unrealistic expectation of how long it was going to take my son to master these developmental milestones. And so did I. Right? But mine showed up as permissiveness and his showed up as control. But both of us had a completely unrealistic expectation. I was expecting to have to apply these principles or teach him something 6, 7, 10 times. And I thought that was patient. And then inside these parenting classes, I'm learning that it's 1,000 times, 2,000 times, 3,000 times. And it's very much like going to the gym. You think you're going to be able to do 10 squats and you're going to have a nice butt. You've got another thing coming. You have to do 100 every day, right? For a while to build that muscle. And it's exactly the same with spiritual practice. You have to be consistent every day, often for years, for that muscle to be big and to be strong. So it's really bringing in that presence to, I've been underestimating what is required for me to fulfill my divine life purpose. And I'm going to have to show up at a higher level, and it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. But it's the choice that I'm making, right? And there are consequences to not making that choice. Yes, there are consequences to making that choice, and I have paid them, right? You make mistakes, you lose people that you love, you you burn out, you get stuck in healing loops. You go through many things when you're going for your divine life purpose. But the same is true for not going there. Life is just as hard if you don't have your divine life purpose. I think even harder, because then um you feel like most of what you've done is for nothing. Whereas when you're on your divine life purpose, you're like, well, at least I am doing what I came here to do. It's not easy, but at least I'm doing that. So it's that decision, and it's a choice. And especially I think especially for women and adults, there's so many things that take us off that path, and so many people that are like, well, if you're not all about the money, if you're not like a millionaire, if you're not doing this, then why are you even doing it? Most people are like geared towards the fame and the money and the so when you're in your divine life purpose, yes, the abundance is important, yes, the validation, the recognition is important, but it's not why you're doing it. You're doing it to connect people with God's love. You're doing it because it's the truth. You're doing it because it's who you are. And the abundance, the visibility, those are a byproduct of God's greatness. They are not the reason why you're doing it. And I think that's where people get stuck when it comes to manifesting success, is because they are trying to manifest fame, or they are trying to manifest recognition from a place of that's what will make them whole, instead of literally focusing on what God is telling them to do and trusting that God is great. He makes the stars, the suns, the flowers, and he recognizes every single gift that he's given, to the extent that he stops and says, this is good. The things that I've done are really good. So why wouldn't your hard work be rewarded? Why wouldn't his greatness shine through you? Why wouldn't your life be a testament to the glory and greatness of God, right? If you follow God's will. These things are 100% in alignment, but they require a humility, and they also require a dropping into presence every day, where it's much easier to like bypass or dissociate or pretend it's not happening, right? So presence is very much a practice. It's one of the reasons why I love Course in Miracles so much, is because it brings me back. So if you're asking me how to make it go quicker, connect to God more. Instead of connecting once, connect 3 times a day for 5 minutes. That's the Course in Miracles practice, right? You don't connect to God once. If you look at the Muslim faith, the Jewish faith, they don't connect once to God a day. They connect 3 or 4 times through prayer to God a day, and it's part of their habit. It's part of their ritual. It's part of their routine. It's the same thing with your divine life purpose. You don't want to be doing like one thing and then running off. You have to do what's required. So it's like a waltz. It's not a one and then I'm gone. It's a 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It's a dance. It's not something you kind of have to get over with first thing in the morning because your anxiety is so high, right? And connection with God is the medicine. It is the thing that brings the anxiety down. It is the thing that brings you to peace. You can't, so many people, because they've got that fixer trauma from childhood, they're waiting until they are fixed and whole until they get stuff done. And you hear it all the time in spiritual circles, where people are telling you that you have to be healed. You have to be healed and to be in a relationship. You have to be healed to be a parent. You have to be healed to be married. You have to be healed to be a spiritual teacher. You have to be healed. Yeah, no, you don't. God took broken people all over every single religious book that there is and raised them up and made them great and healed things along the way. There was no a section of the Bible where David took some time out to heal. Sorry, the God works, God moves as you are living life. Life happens in momentum. Okay, so you can take time to heal, but life cannot stop for that. Time doesn't come back, right? So stop waiting until you've sorted everything. Start helping people where you are now, and as where you are shifts, so will the people that you attract and pull in. Maria saying thank you in advance. You're welcome, beautiful. Shruti saying, hi, Sky. We're facing animal attack at home. My husband is experiencing a lot of disturbances from them every day. I'm looking for a reading. Thank you very much. There's something there's a divine message coming through that you are not hearing. it's spring, hence the plants and the animals and the nature spirits are kind of knocking on the doors. So are you getting outside on a regular basis? Are you damaging the environment around you in a way that you shouldn't be damaging it? Is there a way that you could live with the environment in a more holistic way? Where you are. But whenever like you have an infestation of animals, or like they're literally coming on you, it's because you are ignoring your true nature, which is what we talked about when Kate was asking the question about dreams above. But an infestation is like, it's now like, it's almost, it's like when Carl Jung said that you will reject the like, then you will become the parts of yourself that um you cannot acknowledge. It's the same thing. This part of your nature is running the show. So what kind of an animal is the infestation? And it's already unconsciously in control, even if you're not aware of it. So that's where I would slow down and look at. We're going to send in Archangel Ariel to help you communicate with these animals. You can actually bring them in front of you on an energy level, the same way you bring through your higher self. You can ask your higher power to bring animals in front of you, and then have that communication with them and say, hey, what is it you're trying to teach me? What do I need to do so that you can be removed from this space? And then obviously take the appropriate steps. If you need to, get a professional to come and remove them, do it in the most natural way possible. There are many tricks. I would go and speak to the locals as well. There are many tricks that people use. Like, for example, in Scotland, the wardrobes were lined with lavender and thyme and other herbs to keep away the moths and the mice. What's the word? Mice don't like vinegar and things like that, for example. So the houses were washed in vinegar, and so were the floorboards. There's so many things that people used that were in harmony with nature, that kept the animals that weren't good for humans at bay, but did so in a non-deadly, non-toxic way, that you can learn, you can tap into. So that's what I would do, is if work in harmony with the environment around you, but get the message as well, right? Get the message. I would, if you go on Google and you Google animal spirit messages for the specific animal, it will come up what the message is or what part of your nature that you're ignoring. Have a conversation with the animal's higher self and / collective consciousness, and then work on it, right? Work on it, work on it, work on it. Okay, LPS saying, hi, Sky. I'm Amanda Khan. You give me a live career reading. Thank you very much. Okay, let me have a look. Angels, Amanda. Okay, so immediately I'm like, there's this feeling of like being deflated. And this is a validation wound. So when you're love bombed by a narcissist, or by a narcissistic parent or teacher, right? Praise is a form of control. It's not a form of love. It's not a form of recognition. It's not a form of validation. Praise is a form of covert, coercive control. And this is very true of a lot of parenting books as well. It's like, praise what you like, praise when the child eats the vegetables, praise and withhold praise from the things that you don't like. Praise should not be just for things that you like. Praise should be spontaneous validation and affirmation of who you are as a person, and the things that you do, but it should not be used as a form of control. And that's what's coming up, is that you really want validation, you really want recognition, but deep down, because of inner child wounds, you are afraid of receiving praise and validation and recognition. And afraid, like there's a distortion, you believe the praise is control. So can we release that, please? Okay. Go Soulful saying, hi love, I'm thinking about starting another business next to my creative activities as modeling, acting, and singing. I'm worried about money. Is it a good idea to do right now? The answer that I'm getting, and I'm getting Archangel Michael coming in really strong, is that no. That the fear that you need to work on is that you aren't worth, like you don't have worth, you don't have value. Because when you deep down believe you don't have worth, you don't have value, you don't commit. And this is where, like, you can see the multiple paths. You've got modeling, you've got acting, you've got singing, but you're not committing to any of those paths with enough conscientiousness that they are then being recognized or validated and monetized. And this doesn't matter. It's quite strong in healers and artists, because it's stronger in schools being told that these things have no financial worth, right? And starving artist is quite a strong archetype, but these are business skills that you need to learn. So starting another business isn't going to help you. Mastering sales, marketing, um, mastering sales, marketing, and systems is what's going to help you. So now it's time to get serious, because it doesn't matter what business you go into, none of them are going to work unless you take the business seriously, right? So if you want this, and then choose one of the ones you've already got. If you've singing, how can you monetize singing? You can put your songs up for sale on everything from Shopify and to Spotify to all sorts. There's a million ways to monetize your voice, right? You can offer to do voiceovers for people on things like Fiverr and Upwork. There's so many ways that you can monetize your voice. But if you are not consistently visible that you are doing singing and that singing is your thing, then people don't know. It's the same thing as healing, right? If you're doing modeling, it's the same thing. You have to, literally learn how to pose. You have to take a lot of pictures of yourself. You have to build your social media following. Nobody knows you're doing modeling unless you're showing up as a model, right? So it's this energy of marketing, sales, and systems that if you do not master, it doesn't matter what business you go into, you will never get past that bottom tier of people inside that business. So it's that energy of I'm going to master this. Aim to be the best. If you don't aim to be the best, you will never even be good. Aim to be the best at the things that you love, right? And that will make you good at the people that you love, at the things that you love. But this is like, you're not even letting yourself really try. So commitment, really becoming conscientiously committed to one of your divine life purposes over here. Okay, Sarah's saying, hi Sky, whenever I drop my thoughts from my mind to my heart, I feel pain in my chest. Can I have some guidance about it? There's so much here. Like, your heart has been broken quite a lot of times, and what's happened is, because it hurts so much, they're showing me you kind of like are serial monogamous. You jumped from one relationship to another without really giving yourself time to grieve and to learn the lessons of how that person got in, right? How did you allow this to happen? Because that's the danger with pain, is that we don't want to feel it, so we project it. And then when we project it, we're not sure of what our part in the creation of that is. So for example, let's say that you're dating somebody and you have no values, and you don't, even if you have them, you don't know what they are, so you can't tell if the person is a match for those values or not. You're not being honest, right? You're walking into a date telling a guy that you're happy to be his girlfriend, or you're happy to just be in any kind of relationship, when really what you want is marriage and kids, and to be provided for. These things are an issue. So you have to really slow down and go, what did I do, right? Am I not being clear? Am I not being myself? How am I letting these manifestations occur? Is it a lack of boundaries? Is it a lack of clarity? Is it a lack of worth? But there's a real energy of, you need to grieve. If you do not understand that the behaviors you have right now are causing you pain, then you will not change them. And that's the beauty of pain, is that pain connects fearful behavior to negative consequences. And when you have that correct, when you connect negative behavior to bad outcomes, you stop doing that behavior, right? But if you bypass it, if you just move on so quickly, you have no time, right, to really do that self-inquiry, to really nurture that self-awareness, right? Then you get into the same situation over and over and over again. That's how you meet different people in different bodies, right? So it's not about going, oh, I deserve the abuse, or victim blaming in any way, shape, or form, because that's not true. It's not your fault. It's just that the same way that, a lion can tell the weakest gazelle in the herd, so can any predator in the human sphere. So you have to figure out why it is that you have no defenses, why it is that you are being singled out, why it is that you are saying okay to things that are really not okay. And then that's where your journey begins, right? That's where your inner child healing begins. That's where you start going into other lifetimes, and really going into the full expanse of what's available for you. I'm going to bring in Archangel Shamuel and do a broken heart healing for you, my love. Anyone else that wants that, let's send that their way. Leslie Mitchell. Hi, Sky. Much love to you. Much love to you too, darling. Long time no see. My rent and bills have gone up 100%. I cannot afford it. I think I'm in the wrong location. Should I be trying to sell my furniture and move elsewhere? You should be increasing your worth. I'm going to do a bit of tough love with you, Leslie, because I know you, and this has been an issue your entire life, and you need to stop running away from it. There's no reality in which there is no increase in bills, inflation. It doesn't exist. If you go and talk to our grandparents, when they could, get sweets for like a quarter of a penny or a half penny, and now a bag of sweets is like £3 or £4, sometimes 5. You have to grow in this area. You can't keep avoiding the financial maturity that you need to develop. You do not want to go into another lifetime with this blocked. Enough with trying to sell, with trying to get rid of it, with going into desperation when you face the energy of poverty. You have to go into the energy of abundance when you face the energy of poverty if you want to get out of this. Otherwise, like we just covered, it'll come back over and over and over again. You have a choice when faced with the energy of poverty, and it is a terrifying energy. You either face it and you recognize your worth and you start making more, charging more, creating more, accepting passive income, creating tools for serving others. And there are so many ways to make more money. So many ways to make more money, whether it's reviewing Netflix videos online, or writing Amazon book reviews, or there are so many ways to be making really good money without even having to leave your home or your country, right? But if you don't believe it, then you go into this desperation. I have to sell this, I have to sell that. What happens when all your stuff is sold and you still don't have financial awareness or a money consciousness? What happens when you're then facing homelessness, right? So this is like, you if you keep going down this path, things are going to get dark. Stop it. Stop going down this path of desperation when you're faced with poverty, and quiet your intellect, turn within, and choose to be solution focused, right? The solution is never, can I sell all my stuff? The solution is, how can I rise? How can I shift? How can I change? And it always, like, everybody always says this to me, right? But I'm going to let you guys in on a secret because I love you so much. Everybody that gets stuck in the energy of desperation believes that it's harder for them than it is for everybody else. And what they say is, but it's so hard. It's so hard because I have the baby. It's so hard because I've never had a financial education. It's so hard because I'm sick. It's so hard because I'm from a trauma background. These big paradigm shifts often only happen when we're on our knees, because we are just not available for change until we realize just how much they are costing us. Until the price of believing that fearful belief becomes real for us, until it hurts us enough, I'd say around 95% of people won't do the work to shift it. It needs to get real. And for me, it was so real. Like, I went from having a business where I was turning over roughly 50K a year to having 2 businesses that were turning over multiple 6 figures. After my son came into the world, because it got real that if I didn't shift this, he was going to grow up with a mum in terror of money all the time, who was making decisions based on finances instead of based on love, including about being able to be with him. And it got real, and the pain, I couldn't handle creating that much pain for my son. And then things moved, right? But if the rest of the time, like the 30 years before he was born, I was trying, but I wasn't committed on the level that I needed to be for it to shift. It was when the level of pain got real that I was like, this has got to move. So it's the same thing. it will keep getting worse until you face it. And poverty has real consequences, right? Real consequences. It completely changes your lifestyle. It's a root level belief, right? So you face poverty with abundance. And this is not a time for prayer. This is a time of speaking to the mountain of poverty. You have to say, I know that my God is abundant, infinitely abundant. He made the stars in the sky. He made the grains of sand. He made every single beautiful thing with abundance. Does an apple only have one seed? No, right? Does what's it called? A tree only have one leaf? No. Like everything in this world, everything in this world that God created in nature is a reflection of infinite abundance. You don't just have breath, you have breath, and you don't have one sense, you have five. You have health. It's like start focusing on where the abundance is and then really follow the divine guidance. And I don't know what the divine guidance is for you. I don't know if it's to apply for a job. I don't know if it's to step more into your spiritual power and start making online products with your business. But I know that the guidance is you need to stop focusing on poverty and stop focusing on despair and start focusing on abundance. It is not negotiable unless you want things to get worse. Okay, and you don't deserve that. You're a very good person. You do not deserve that. Okay, Caitlin K saying, hi Sky, I have an energetic block in my life that stops me from moving forward. I know what I need to do, but I'm not doing it in the end. Any advice on how to move forward? So it's coming up as a fear of abandonment when I'm scanning you. It's like a belief that you will become abusive because you'll leave people behind when you step into your power. So you really want to do some inner child work and you want to do some past life work. You have no control over what other people choose to do with their life. You only have control over what you choose to do with your life. You can't make people heal. You can't make people grow. So when you grow, people will fall away. Not all of them, but a lot of them, and they have a right to be themselves, right? Just like you do. So it's getting to that point of realizing that not everything is what it seems. Okay, not everything is what it seems, and sometimes what we perceived as other people abandoning us or leaving us was us not being able to go with them. And that's not the case when we're children, but it's often the case as adults, right? There are some people come for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. It's not necessarily for what we planned. It's often for God's plan. So you need to really be conscious of that. And just learn to let go when it's time to let go instead of holding on. And this was one of the hardest lessons for me to learn. The virtue you want to meditate on is detachment, which is doing your divine guidance, not doing what you think is what is right, not clinging to things when you got clear guidance that they're no longer serving. Okay, Jennifer Morgan saying, hello, I've been overcome by a rush of unworthiness and it's keeping me really low. I'm having trouble getting rid of the illusion. Would love any guidance, please. Shame. Whenever you're stuck on a middle level emotion. So the top level emotions are like happiness, sadness, anger, jealousy, etc. And then underneath, it's the worthiness, the perfectionism. It becomes the habits that we made to contain the shame that we felt when we went through trauma. The disconnection from self that we experienced when we went through trauma, right? So whenever you're stuck in unworthiness or perfectionism or rebelliousness, or go for the shame every time, and it will ask Creator to help you release shame, and the rest will move. The rest will move, because shame is at the biggest emotional block to you reconnecting with yourself and to you even being aware of the truth of the situation. Because when you're ashamed of the truth, you don't want to know it, and you don't want anyone else to know it about you either. Okay, so I'm going to stop here and do our closing prayer. Oh, great Spirit, Father Sky, Mother Earth, the winds, the waters, my Father, my Mother, Atanaha, all that is. We thank you for our lives, and we thank you for these good people. We thank you for all that we are and all that we are to become. We dedicate our time spent together and our relationships with one another to you. We ask that our suffering be ended and our pain be lifted to the love and to the peace that lay beyond. Aho, Amen, Namaste.